this is the introduction to your options. But before I do that, can I praise the vast majority of you are doing so well at home. You're doing so well with your distance learning, and I know your form tutors are incredibly proud of what you're achieving. So as I just mentioned, today's assembly really is just an introduction. It's just an overview. But really what I want to say very, very clearly is do not worry. We are going to give you the time to speak to your subject teachers, to find out more information about subjects, opportunities for your parents to speak to your teachers, yeah, and also the opportunity for you to identify what you might want to do and then have individual conversations with members of senior leadership in order to help you, to guide you to make the right decision. And that's what this process is about. It's about guiding you to make the right decision. So let's start off just by having a look at the process, right? So if you have a look at that slide, it's obviously GCSE results follow you around, yeah, and you might be feeling a lot of pressure now about the GCSEs that you're going to pick. Now, let me reassure you, the important ones are already picked for you. Okay, your GCSE maths, your GCSE English, your GCSEs in science. Okay, those subjects will give you 5 GCSEs straight away that will get you onto any college course in any college. All right, so yes, you're going to be anxious about what you want to pick, but the important ones you are doing anyway. All right, and good grades in your maths, your English literature, and your 2 sciences, yes, will give you 5 GCSEs that will get you on the vast majority, if not all, of the college courses that you would want to consider. Okay, so let's go through. So here's the pathways process, guys. So the launch assembly is obviously today, Tuesday the 2nd of February. Then starting next week, there are going to be some subject events or assemblies. So subjects that you might want to pick, for example, art and design, performing arts, history, geography, sociology, child development, and many more. They will each have each do a short presentation, and you'll be able to dial in virtually next week and listen to those subject leaders tell you more about their subject. Okay, we then get to half term, and then the week after half term we're going to do some work. We're going to give the opportunity for your parents to come and find out more, and also for your parents to request an appointment on the phone with a member of staff for a particular subject, so they can talk to your subject teachers, and you can talk to your subject teachers about whether you should consider picking their subject or not. Okay, we then give you a week to make your initial choices. Okay, and we're giving you free choice. All right, for the 2 subjects that you can choose, you can have free choice. All right, we will then go away and see whether we can do that, and then we'll have some individual pathways interviews with you just to finalize those things. Okay, so you can see it's quite a long process. We aim to have your options all completed by the time we finish for the Easter holidays. All right, and lots of opportunity to talk, lots of opportunity to ask for advice, lots of opportunities really to get the guidance that you need. All right, so moving through. So Attainment 8. Yeah, I'm just going to pop this slide up and then I'll talk through it very, very quickly. And we've already talked about this. Attainment 8. You will study 8 subjects at GCSE. All right. No more than 8, no less than 8. Everybody will do 8 subjects. And as I've said, 5 of those subjects are already chosen for you because they're the most important ones. So in the first box, you've got English and maths. All right. You get most time in those subjects. They're arguably the most important GCSEs for your future. All right, so English and maths go in there. In the second box, you'll do at least 2 sciences, and then you will choose, and this is your first choice that you would have to make. The first choice you would have to make would be whether you chose history or geography. And you'll have the opportunity to speak to the history teachers and the geography teachers next week and find out some more information about that. All right. Now this is called the EBAC bucket, but we don't need to worry about that too much. Just you need to be aware that you'll do at least 2 sciences and a history or a geography. Okay. And then in the third box, this is where you get more free choice. All right. So your last 3 subjects, one of them will definitely be English literature because you have to study English language and English literature. So one of them will be English literature, but the other 2 are technically whatever you want to do. Now, obviously, once you've made your choices, we need to go away and see whether there's enough people to make a group or whether you're suitable for that subject, and we need to look at that in a bit more depth. But at this first point, all you've got to do really is think about what 2 subjects you would like to consider to do, and when the form comes out, put them on the form. Now I have a couple of bits of advice on this. I have Mr. Lander's 3 rules. Okay, and if you stick to these 3 rules, you usually can't go wrong. So the first one is don't choose a subject because you like the teacher. All right. Yes, you might like that teacher, but who knows what might happen between now and the end of the year. That teacher may leave. Actually, there may be more than one teacher in that subject, and you might have the other teacher next year. You cannot guarantee just because you've chosen a subject because you like the teacher this year that it will be the same teacher next year. So you have to like the subject. Okay. The second rule is don't choose a subject because your friend has chosen the subject. This is a classic one. This is a classic mistake you make. Again, just really from my experience, in some subjects we may have more than one group. We might have more than one child development group. We might have more than one performing arts group, etc. And again, there's no guarantee that just because you and your friend have both chosen that same subject that you will be in the same group. Okay. And actually, if you're making a decision based on a subject based on what your friend wants to do, it should be on what you want to do, essentially. Okay. So that's Mr. Lander's second rule. And then Mr. Lander's third rule, and this one's quite a biggie to get your mind around. Don't choose a subject because you think you need it. Some of you may have very, very clear ideas about what you want to do as a career. Yes. But sometimes actually the option that you choose in school, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to give you an example. Every year I get somebody come to me, oh, Mr. Landers, I want to be a midwife, Mr. Landers. I want to be a nurse, Mr. Landers. I've got to do child development, Mr. Landers. I've got to do child development, yeah, because I want to be a nurse. Well, no, you don't. You don't have to have a GCSE or a vocational subject in child development to become a nurse. You have to have your maths, English, and your science. Okay, but you don't necessarily need child development. If it interests you, and you're going to be motivated to do well in that subject, then great. Yeah, but actually it's not the be all and end all when you're talking about a career. Sports is a very similar one. So I want to work in the sports industry. I've got to be doing sports. Well, again, no, you don't. Your sciences are more important. And if you go to any college website and you look at the next level up in terms of sport qualifications, the first thing it says is you will need your sciences, you will need your maths, you will need your English. Okay. Again, if it interests you though, perfectly valid, perfectly reasonable to do that. Okay. So there you go. That's the breakdown of your year 10 and your year 11 curriculum. Okay. So moving through. Just pop these in, and this is recorded so you can watch this back, guys. All right. So there's also something called the English Baccalaureate. Now, again, we will be guiding young people into this if we think it is appropriate. But again, you have to make the decision whether you think it's for you. So the English Baccalaureate is an additional qualification that you would get if you studied a certain combination of the most academic subjects. So GCSE subjects. And you have to have studied English, maths, which you're all doing, at least 2 sciences, which you're all doing, a humanities, which you're all doing, and then you have to have studied a language, so French. Okay, so French would take up one of your options in your option block, like on the diagram there, and you would achieve an additional just by studying those and passing those to grade 4 or 5 and above. Yes, just by studying those, you will receive an additional certificate, which is called the English Baccalaureate. Now, if you're considering some of the more prestigious sixth form colleges like King Ed's or Dudley Sixth, then there'll be a higher importance on the English Baccalaureate than some of the other colleges or courses that you may choose to do. Again, but we're not forcing you to do that. We will look at our most talented French linguists and we will recommend and guide you into that. But ultimately it comes down to you. But really, I do want young people to aspire to get the very best GCSE qualifications that they can. And if you are capable of achieving this, or if you feel that this is something that interests you, then again, we can have those conversations and we can look at that. Okay. So if you did the English Baccalaureate, that would mean you still do get another choice. So you could still pick up an art or a business studies or an iMedia or a sociology, but ultimately you would have to lose one of your option choices there to the study of a language. Okay, so and we are gonna look at this. I won't spend too much time on this. Just to really highlight the merits of following GCSE French or doing a language. It is a scientific fact that learning a language makes your brain work faster. Okay, there is evidence out there that's saying learning a foreign language actually helps with your GCSE English as well. Okay, it improves how your brain works. They've actually done some research into this, and learning a modern foreign language is actually one way to stave off Alzheimer's, because it keeps the brain active and challenged. Okay, it's easier to remember list sequences and patterns. All right, but again, it's got to be for you. It's got to be for you. Yeah, and like I say, we will guide. You'll be able to ask questions. We will advise, but ultimately the decision comes down to you. Okay. Moving on. All right, so I'm going to keep on going over this. Your maths and your English, at least 2 sciences, and will be done for you. Okay. You will then need to choose history or geography from the academic GCSEs, either history or geography, and then you will have two further free picks from all of these subjects that are on here. Okay. And in the first instance, all we're going to ask you to do is submit that information so that we can see whether we've got enough interest in it to run a group, whether we need to try and put 2 groups on, whether there's not enough of you that want to do it, and then we've got to come back and have a conversation about you choosing something else, which can happen. Obviously, if only 3 of you opt for express an interest in doing something like iMedia, then obviously we can't run iMedia as a group, and we'd have to come back to you. But we would make sure that we have a conversation and we look at what would suit you as a second subject and get you in there. Okay, so all I need you to really start thinking about doing at the minute is history or geography, yeah, and actually start looking into, through the subject assemblies next week, what other 2 you might want to do there. And if you couldn't do one of those 2 that you wanted to do, what reserve subjects might you put in instead? All right, so it's always worth coming up with, I would say, a list of, I don't know, 4 subjects that you would that actually you would like to do, if I'm honest. All right, yeah. And you might even in your own mind, once you've listened to the subject assemblies, put them into a rank order. Well, that's my favorite, that's my second favorite, that's my third favorite, that's my fourth favorite. All right, and look at it that way. Okay. Right, we're doing really well. I know you've got a lot of you got a lesson at 1:15, so, and I know this is meant to finish at 11. So just to give you some examples then, and I won't be too long. So You might want to do GCSE history, for example, and then I might want to do GCSE art and design, and I might want to do a vocational subject. CNAT stands for Cambridge Nationals. All right, they're not GCSEs, but they're equivalent to GCSEs. They're the same as GCSEs, but they're more portfolio based. All right, and you'll find out about that in the subject assemblies next week. So that might be my pathway. Okay, so I'd end up doing maths, English literature, 2 sciences at least, a GCSE history, an art and design, and a sports studies, and that would be my 8 subjects. Okay, I might consider the baccalaureate. Yes, that aspirational academic pathway favoured by the best colleges, and so I'd be looking at picking up my languages, picking up a humanities, which is GCSE history and geography, and then because I'm doing those rigorous academic GCSEs, I'm going to do something a bit more practical as my final choice. So I'm going to pick a performing arts, dance and drama. All right, trying to give myself a nice balance of subjects that I'm doing. Okay, I might want to. I'm very creative. I'm an arty person. I wouldn't recommend having such a narrow pathway that you're doing 3 very art-based courses: art and design photography, and Cambridge Nationals iMedia, which is digital graphics and multimedia stuff. Okay, again, I wouldn't advocate that for everybody doing something that a curriculum that's quite as narrow as that, and we would certainly have that conversation. But if that is a absolute talent of yours and a passion of yours, then there are three GCSEs there that complement each other very nicely. Okay, just be a little bit warned though that you cannot do art and design 3D design. Those 2 qualifications are regarded as being too similar, to the same, and actually the Department for Education says that those 2 choices together are banned. All right, so again, if you accidentally chose art and design and 3D design, we would come back to you and have the conversation. We would flag that. All right, this person's done accidentally chosen that alongside GCSE sociology. We would come back to you, have a conversation, and look at what you could do instead. Okay. I did send a YouTube clip through in the chat at the beginning of this on what not to do when choosing your options. Donna's story. If you do get a chance to look at that, that's fabulous. But can I just go over my do's and don'ts? Yeah. So do choose something that interests you. Do choose something that you enjoy. Okay. If you have not got an idea about your future career, by doing things you love and you enjoy means you are going to get the best grades, and the best grades will end up getting you onto college courses regardless. All right, because like I say, your maths, English and your science is all there for you to do that as well. All right, don't choose the subject because of the teacher, because the teacher may change. Okay, you have to have an interest in that subject. Don't choose a subject because your friend has chosen that subject. Okay, again, there's no guarantee you'll be in the same group, and actually you're your own person. You're setting your own future here. You're setting your own pathway into post-16. Yeah, and actually at this point in time you have to be quite selfish, and you have to think, actually, what's right for me? Okay, this is my life, my decision. I'm the one that needs to make it. Okay, and the final one, I'll just go over that again. Don't think you need to choose something because you think your future career depends on it. Your maths, your English, your 2 sciences will give you good grades in those subjects, will give you the opportunity to go and study subjects at higher levels without necessarily having done them at GCSE. Okay, probably the only exception to that are the arts-based subjects, I would say, whereby you know, if you haven't studied something at GCSE, you're required to take a portfolio of work along with you. All right, but definitely things like sports studies, child development, it's going to be your maths, English, science that gets you onto the level 3 or the A-level courses in those subjects, not doing the subject in school. For example, you might get the best grade ever in child development in school, but if you don't get a grade 4 or above in your English and maths, they won't move you on to the next level up in child development at college. They'll keep you on the same one you've been doing in school. Okay, so you know, I keep on coming back to this, and I'll keep on coming back to it all the time. The choices you make are about enriching your experience in school. Okay, the choices that we've made for you, or the choices that the government have made for you in terms of your core subjects, are the subjects that will get you to the next stage of your education. Okay, all right, so really it's about reassuring you not to worry too much about these subjects being the be all and end all of your futures. They're not. All right, so that's it. I will stay on now. If anybody wants to pop anything in the chat, this has been recorded, so if you do want to show your parents, that's fine, but we will be doing a parents event as well. You know, thank you for coming. There's over 60 of you in here, which is phenomenal, which is over half the year group. Okay, and you know, speak to your form tutors, speak to your subject staff if you get the opportunity, and you know, any questions, yeah, by all means flag them up, and we'll come back and we'll answer them for you. All right, thank you for coming, guys.